Hello and welcome to the Design Make Play show. I'm Sara and I'm an illustrator and designer at Zen Maker Lab, and today we're going to cover the basics on how to draw the human figure. So let's get started. So what is the point of learning how to draw the basic human figure? Well, the point is that humans are really hard to draw. First of all, we are complicated, complex figures. But once we can master how to draw people, we can really draw anything. So I've broken down a few steps on how to draw people. So let's get into it. To begin with, I want to start with the human proportion, so the basics of knowing how to do that. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but you guys can learn more about it if you're interested. But pretty much, people, when we're drawing them, they're measured in heads. So we can either use our thumb or we can use a pencil when we're measuring it out. But as shown here, each head is showing the height of the person. So roughly there's 8 heads in an average person when we're drawing them. So again, you can look more into that if you're interested. But moving on, I'm going to start by talking about gesture drawing, which is the first step when we're drawing people. So to begin with, these are some examples of what gesture looks like. And pretty much we're capturing the movement and the action of the character and the pose that they're in. And here's another example of just showing how quick and rough these sketches are. And so now let's give it a shot. So I'm just going to start drawing a gesture drawing on my iPad here. So pretty much I just want to get down quickly what the shape of the person is and the pose that they're in. So I'm looking at the direction of the spine and I'm just getting this down, drawing the legs and the feet. And again, it can just be really rough when we're doing this because it's just to capture the pose of the person that we are drawing. So that would be the first step of gesture drawing. And now moving on, we would be starting to create shapes. So shapes would look like this example, and pretty much people, when we're drawing them, it looks like they're almost like a robot broken down into a bunch of shapes, but we're not literally, of course, drawn as shapes, but it really helps us understand the human figure and the mechanics behind it. And again, it kind of looks like a bit of a robot, but we're gonna take it further. So let's just try it out ourselves. So first, I would just be marking what shapes I'm seeing. So I've got a circle, here's the head, and then I've got a square as the top body, and then a cylinder as like the waistline to show that there's movement. And then the arms and the legs are also cylinders, and the elbows are circles for the joints. So I'm just gonna get that down. And again, it can be really loose if you want, but it's just to show the shape of the person that we're drawing. So now we get a bit of a better understanding of the mechanics and what the person looks like internally as well. So now we would be adding volume to our design. So going from the gesture drawing, we're adding more details so that really at the end of the day, our person looks like a 3D object and there's detail added to it with shadows and light and details. So again, this is just an example showing blocking out the shadow and then using the light, and then we can kind of merge the two using cross-hatching and line work. So lastly, that's what I'm just gonna do. And I'm just gonna block in where I could kind of see where the shadow could be potentially going. So I'm just gonna draw that in. So we can just pretend that the shadow is coming from the left side here. And so now I would just be using my pencil and I'm just drawing lines in the direction of where the body is curving, because of course humans are not flat. So I'm just drawing lines to kind of curve out the shape of the figure. And we're using cross-hatching here. And that's just a few basics so you guys know where to kind of have a starting point. So again, I'm not going to go into too much depth in that, but I love for you guys to try that out. So next we can start creating. So we can take our sketches and our designs of our characters and really bring them to life by starting to do gesture drawing. And then next we can add detail and add volume to make our characters really come to life. Using the concept in this segment, I want you guys to try to draw a family member or a friend using the 3 basic drawing principles that we're going to learn. One being is gesture drawing, and 2 is adding shape, and 3 is adding volume. So I hope you guys have fun and try it out at home, and I can't wait to see what you end up creating. So ultimately, what I hope you guys took away from this segment today is that humans are not as hard to draw as we think, and when we can break them down into steps, we can apply those techniques to our other drawings that we want to do. So ultimately, the 3 steps that we learned today is we learned how to do gesture drawing for the first step, the second was creating shapes, and the third was adding volume. So I hope you guys had fun, and I'll see you soon.